Sierra. In today's episode, I'm going to take some more time to unpack some of those common themes that I'm noticing through my conversations here on the podcast, through my coaching conversations over the past 6 years. So when I made it to the 100 episode milestone, and I thought I should really take some time to sit down and comb through and identify the things that keep showing up again and again. What are the common themes in our conversations? And this is across many industries. This is across many different roles within an organization, people who are managing a lot of employees and people who are just managing themselves. These same themes come up. A lack of confidence, people who need accountability, not sure how to approach a difficult conversation, uncertainty about how to move forward in the future. And I'm realizing over and over again that though I thought those were leadership challenges that I was helping them solve, I'm realizing that they're just human challenges in general. I'm not going to call it a leadership challenge. And a lot of times when we face those problems, that's not the challenge itself. It's not the root cause. If we were to really sit down and look at each of those areas, that lack of confidence, the concern about having a difficult conversation, all of those examples, those are actually internal struggles. So if you think about it, when you have difficulty having that difficult conversation, you don't know how to have the conversation. That's an internal struggle. It's not necessarily that the other person is the challenge. It's that you have a challenge understanding how to communicate with that individual. Or maybe I'm coaching you on some big decisions that you need to make in your life or in your business. And maybe you have a fear of making the wrong decision. Or you keep second guessing yourself over and over again. You can't figure out why something keeps happening to you. When you actually sit down and reflect, those are all internal challenges. Those aren't strategy questions. How do I lead more effectively? It doesn't always come down to that. Sometimes it is how do I look inward instead of looking outward first? And what I mean by that is a lot of times when a challenge comes up, we are quick to blame other people. Our first instinct is to look outward and place blame. So we could think, if my employee, if my team member could just change, if they could be a little less lazy, if they could be a little more helpful, if they could have better ideas or not make so many mistakes, or if my boss communicated better, or if this client went away, I wouldn't have as many issues. They feel like everything would improve. But the thing that all of those have in common is it's about other people. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes other people really are the problem. But sometimes I feel like it is really exposing an internal opportunity for us to grow. So in each of those situations, whether it's, poor communication that's coming up, if communication isn't working, take responsibility in that and say, what am I not doing well? How could I change my communication to better meet their needs? Or maybe you find you actually avoid conflict in general, or you're a people pleaser, or you're making a lot of assumptions. Those are all things that I do too. I know that we all do them, but we could definitely be more aware of how much we do them. One of my favorite books to read with some of the organizations that I work with is called Leadership and Self-Deception. It's by the Arbinger Institute. And I really have enjoyed that book because so many of the examples within it resonated with me. I could really see myself in the different situations. It's really written almost as a story about some folks' lives. And what I liked about it is it makes you stop and reflect about the assumptions you're making about other people when you're placing blame on other people, when you've set expectations of how they're going to behave and you've expected that they're going to not live up to your standards or not show up on time. You actually get to the point where You might even be a little disappointed if they do the right thing because it doesn't align with the way you already see them. And you are looking for opportunities for the experiences around you to be in alignment with the way you're viewing the world. And so self-deception is a really interesting concept. I've enjoyed digging into it with a lot of folks in my life. If you're a reader or you like to listen to books, those are two different things, then you should really check out that book. And Matt's going to get on me for this and say, well, you didn't put that in the show notes. I will have to do that. I didn't know I was going to talk about it in the episode. It came out naturally. If your follow-up moves slower than DMV traffic, it may be time for Work Smarter Digital. Work Smarter Digital gives small businesses a fully built, ready-to-run CRM sales system so you can stop wasting months setting up software and start following up tomorrow. This is your sign. Get the CRM. Get the system. Get moving. Visit WorkSmarterDigital.com to learn more and book a demo. That's WorkSmarterDigital.com. If you're leading a team or organization, you've probably realized this. One training session doesn't change behavior. That's why at SLC, we design customized leadership development programs, not one-time events. We work with organizations to build alignment, strengthen communication, and create leadership systems that actually stick. If your team is ready for something intentional, fill out our organizational interest survey linked in the show notes or visit SierraLearnership.com. That's SierraLearnership.com. If you're considering sending your team to something this year, the question isn't just will they enjoy it, it's will it change how they operate when they come back. TSLS is designed for that. Clarity, better decisions, stronger execution. Join us October 14th. Secure your seat at theTSLS.com. That's theTSLS.com. So I've talked about self-awareness since the beginning. You know, in the first season, I know I touched a little bit on it. I've touched a little bit on it when we discussed emotional intelligence. But one of my favorite things about coaching is it gives people the opportunity to really slow down and reflect on things they wouldn't normally have time to reflect on, to have someone ask them the difficult conversations, not so that you're critical of yourself. You're not supposed to be criticizing yourself, but to understand how you're wired, you know, what your own patterns are in your behavior. Do you have specific triggers? And even more importantly, in these types of situations, asking yourself, how am I showing up in this situation? How is someone else experiencing me when I'm communicating with them? We all have room to grow in this area. It's just about giving ourselves the time to reflect and consider our contributions in these situations. So this is why I say most leadership problems, leadership challenges start internally. I mean, not internal to the organization, internal to you, because once you're aware that these issues exist, you can do something about them. So if you know that you don't trust easily, there's a lack of trust. Well, what caused that? What initially caused the trust to break down, and what would it take to build it back up again? What control do you have over that? What conversations do you need to have to share with others why the trust has been broken and what you need from them? So I am realizing that this is something that I didn't fully understand prior to these conversations with all of our guests, or prior to coaching and learning so much through the people around me. I swear I'm surrounded by the smartest people, very experienced people. It doesn't matter who you are. The things that I'm talking about in this episode are totally relevant to you. I know that without knowing who's listening right now. So I was just recording another episode recently with Lisa Herndon. And in that episode, we were talking about how important it is to be a lifelong learner, to be open to growth, to be open to feedback. And she said that she discovered that later in life, and she wishes that back in her younger days that she was as passionate about learning and discovering new things as she is today. And I feel like this is showing up yet again. Remaining curious about who you are and what your experiences are that have led you to behave the way that you do, to process things the way you do. I can thank therapy for that. I'm very honest with people that I have been in and out of different counseling and therapy since I graduated high school. And that was a really long time ago now that I think about it. But that has forced me to slow down and become more aware of what I am creating, what challenges I am creating for myself, where I would prefer to place the blame elsewhere. So what I really want you to take away from today is be willing to own your mistake, be willing to apologize, seek to understand your contributions and where you might be deceiving yourself. So that's the pattern that's emerged. I know this is a short episode, but I just wanted to briefly bring that pattern forward so that this week you can be thinking about the ways in which you could really lean into the people around you to ask for feedback or take a little time for yourself to sit down and reflect. Recently, one of my clients asked for a list of questions that they should be using when they sit down to reflect alone because they've never done it before. What should I be asking myself? So I think that you should ask yourself what assumptions you are making and where you are actually creating obstacles for yourself. That's my challenge to you. Take the time to do it. Talk to a friend about it. I think it leads to great conversation. You might discover that they're creating some of the same challenges, and you now have an accountability partner in that person. I hope that you found some value in this episode and that you'll share it with someone else that you feel like maybe needs to take some time to reflect on what they're doing to create their own obstacles for themselves and how their mindset even might be getting in the way for them. That's kind of a theme that I'm leaning into this month is our mindset. If you are someone that's receiving our weekly Growth Gazette newsletter via email, you'll see that that's the theme of the month. So all of our episodes are going to somehow connect to the way we see ourselves, the way we're handling leadership challenges, and our mindset towards them. So be sure to check that out and subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already. Those do come out every Monday and are a great way to stay connected with all the things that we're doing, all the questions we're reflecting on around here. So I would hope that you would find value in the newsletter as well. If you are not currently subscribed, be sure to subscribe and follow the podcast so you get notifications every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time when a new episode drops. And until next time, keep branching out. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to spend your time here. I don't take that lightly, and I'm really grateful you're a part of this community. If something from today's conversation resonated with you, I want to encourage you to do a couple of things. First, take one small step. Not everything, just one. Growth doesn't come from hearing more, it comes from applying what you already know. And second, share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. These conversations are meant to spark growth, and you never know who might need to hear exactly what you just heard. If you haven't already, be sure to follow or subscribe to Branching Out with Sierra so you don't miss future episodes. And if you believe in this mission, helping people apply leadership skills to everyday life, and you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, I'd love to connect. You can find more information in the show notes or reach out directly. Quick note before we close, this podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. While we share insights and experiences to support your growth, it's always important to apply what fits your situation and seek professional guidance when needed. And finally, I want you to hear this, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you are leading a team, growing a business, navigating change, or just trying to show up better each day, you are exactly where you need to be to take your next step. And you have the ability to positively influence others in every interaction you have. I'm rooting for you, I believe in your growth, and I'm here to support you along the way. Thanks for being here.